guys, and welcome back to episode 14 of the podcast. My name is Robbie Cassidy, and this is a mobility experiment. So today we're going to talk about why mobility is more important as we age, or why it becomes more important as we age. And before I jump into that, I want to talk really quickly on the new program that I've out. So I've a program out at the moment called Foundational Mobility, and just to make it short, it goes through different breathing exercises and different mobility exercises and movements routines for 6 to 8 week period, and then it's scaled. So it starts at an intermediate level, and then it increases up to an advanced level then if you want to go for another 6 to 8 weeks after that. And it basically is a foundational level or entry level mobility program for people who have an interest in mobility, know why you should do it, what the benefits are for it, but just don't really know where to get started or what to start on. So it's very simple, around about 20 minutes a day, and it's a 6 to 8 week program that's scaled. So as I said, it goes from an intermediate and then you can do it to advanced. So all in all, you could get a 16-week program out of that if you jump on it. So it'll be excellent for anyone who, like GAA players, be good for rugby players. It'll be people who are interested in mobility and, as I said, don't know really where to get started. But because it has those two levels, it's good for anybody at any age. So I would direct you towards my website. It's on my website at Foundational Mobility, or the website is mobilitytutor.com, and on it, it's under Foundational Mobility. Today, I'm going to talk about why mobility is important and why it becomes more important as we age, especially for longevity. And now, as we age, can be from really, it starts to become it's a priority over the age of 25 and more so than when you hit 30. But when looking at it from a young age as opposed to when you're older, when you're young and you're playing sport, your body's basically been taken through these range of motion. It's been taken through different range of motion. It's been taken through different impacts and contacts, and it's a chaotic environment. Now, when you're in that chaotic environment, you don't really think about what you're doing, but you are going through all these motions, and you're bringing your body through full range of motion in all your joints, and through that you're building strength and you're helping nourish the joints and you're helping bring circulation to the area. That's how the body heals itself. The body heals itself through movement because of the fact that it needs circulation and it needs to bring a fluid called synovial joint. It needs to nourish the joints with that. So it's a water-based fluid basically, and it brings nutrients to the joints. It helps regenerate cartilage and it helps keep the joints as healthy as possible at a young age and as we get older. And as I said, because you're going to be going through these range of motion, because you're going through chaotic environment and all these different movements and different activities, and I'm not just saying one sport, this is when we're younger, we do everything from crawling and climbing and jumping and hopping, everything like that. Even if you're talking about just GAA or football or rugby or soccer, where you're running and you're landing, you're jumping and landing and you're avoiding people and stuff like that, you're sliding, all that is going to help nourish the joints and it's going to help bring that circulation. But then on top of that, it's going to improve your coordination and improve your skill. Now the brain, because it's being challenged, it has to adapt. So once it starts adapting, that's how you can see the coordination would really improve. And then your ability to pick up other skills as well will improve because it's use of that neuroplastic change. And I've mentioned in another podcast, and I have done a podcast is around about the 5 or 6 mark on neuroplasticity and what that is. And it's basically your brain's ability to change and learn a new skill. When we look at that and we look at why the brain would change and how these activities can help the brain to change, then we go and assess what pain is. And just another little plug is I have done a full podcast on pain and pain sensitivity and what causes pain and what pain is, but a really brief overview of it. Pain is a threat to your body. So if your body feels like it's under threat or it's not secure in a certain situation or position, or if there's something just not right in the body, then it'll give you pain. It's like warning sign. Okay, so it doesn't always mean there's something there, there's an issue there, but it's more preempting. A lot of the time it can be preempting. So when you look at that and you say, with sport, as I said, pain sensitivity is going to come down because you're going through these movements and you get a bang. And you think about it, if you were putting your hands out, there's a fella coming at you and your shoulder got jacked into a extended position. okay, or a position that it'd be uncomfortable in. A lot of the time, you're not going to feel that pain right there and then, and you'll most likely play on. But it's after the game when your body starts thinking about it again, and it starts scanning itself and seeing what's the issue and where's the problem, and if there is actually an injury there, or were you lucky to get away with it. And basically, that's what your brain and nervous system does. It just scans the body. Now, if your shoulder got jacked into a position, or an insecure position, then your body will give you pain afterwards a lot of the time. And that's why it is that adrenaline response, you could say, but it's not just that itself. It's that the body needs to prioritize what's at the time. It needs to prioritize what the issue is. And when it's after the game and you're sitting down and your shoulder starts aching, that's prioritizing recovery then, because you're out of the situation, you're out of the threatening situation. So now it's time to recover. And if you don't take the time to sit down and recover, then you're basically not giving your body a chance to recover, and you're at a higher risk of injury down the line. So you can see how it's a protective mechanism. So when you're sitting there, your body's telling you, all right, basically give this a chance. We're not going to go lifting anything heavy. We're not going to go moving anything heavy with this at the moment. And it's basically going to take care of itself. Now, every time you do go into that position, as we said, the one, like, let's say if your shoulder's getting jacked, if you have your shoulder out to the side and someone runs, or your arm out to the side and someone runs through and brings it back to its full range, and then it comes back into it and you play on. If you do that, your body recalibrates and your nervous system recalibrates, and it has to think, well, was that situation or that position that I in was that actually dangerous? Was I in a position there that an injury could have been caused, or was I okay with that? And from that, then it's going to reorganize and say, a lot of the time, I probably wasn't in that big or poor of a position. That joint was able to go into that range of motion safely. Any further, it might have been dangerous, but safely to go into that range of motion. So then it turns down your pain sensitivity and it lets you into that range next time a bit easier. So you won't have pain, you won't have as much pain, let's say, the next time you go into it, because it's already been there and it knows its limits, or has a better idea of where its limits are. So that's a really simple way of looking at it. And then it'll know where its limits are, but it'll also know where its strength limits are and its range of motion limits are. So where it is strong, or how far into that position it's strong in, and then how far it can actually go, and where is the end, where is the point that it's going to be injured. So, and the reason I'm harping on about that is because sport, you do that unconsciously. You don't think about it. You're just going through all these positions and all these movements, and your body is figuring it out for itself. So it's not that you're thinking about that, it's that your nervous system is taking in the information that you're giving it, and it's figuring that out. Now, let's look at it as we get older. Okay, so let's say 25 to 30, you're playing sport, you're not really thinking about it, you're doing new activities, you're hiking, you're walking, and you're gymming, and you're trying new things. Now, once you hit that 30 mark and you have to start focusing on a career a bit more, then you can neglect these positions, and you can neglect that activity, and you can forget to challenge the brain and body as much as it needs to be challenged to keep improving, because that's what it's always trying to do. It's always trying to adapt, and it's always trying to recover. It's always trying to improve. And when we start building that career, and you, let's say, looking towards having kids and having a longer term plan, and you're avoiding these activities, and you're getting out of sport as well, because maybe you can't handle or not that you can't handle it, but maybe you're not as up for training as hard, or training 3 or 4 nights a week to maintain the same fitness you were in, or the same body composition, or the same keep up your strength. When you do that, then you start falling into set routines, and your routines become more predictable. So as the routines start to become more predictable, and they become set, basically, because you either go to work, and then you go to the gym, you may go to the gym after, go for a walk, and then a lot of the time come back, watch Netflix, go back to work again the next day, and day in, day out it's the same. And at the weekends, then you're trying to fit in stuff that you couldn't during the week. So that's what I mean is in the become predictable. It's, you know that you're going to know what you're going to be doing, and you're not challenging the brain and the body as much as you would have been when you were younger. So as that happens, you ingrain these patterns, and you repeat the same cycles over and over again. And if you start to ingrain patterns, your body will start to neglect what's not being used and what it doesn't feel it needs anymore. Okay, because anything that the body has to hold up or maintain, it's going to cost it energy. And it's the best energy conserver in the world, in terms of anything it doesn't need, it'll stop. It'll won't use any energy, or it won't preserve energy for that area. Okay, so as we said before, different skills. If you play an instrument when you're younger, if you stop playing it as you get older, the area in your brain that is associated with that playing of the instrument, or coordination of playing an instrument, will reduce as you get older. Now, when you go back into that as you get older again, it will increase, and you'll be able to pick it up. But it's really important to note that the body won't waste energy by any means. So, like, a good example would be an amputee. If they lose a leg, or if they lose a foot, that part of the brain, the motor cortex that was there in use, or that would have been used to control that foot, gets reduced. Okay, and then that area gets taken over by other stuff, because that area of real estate in the brain can be used for other stuff. There's no point having it there if you don't have a foot anymore to use. Okay, now that's just an easy example of it to think about. If it doesn't need it, if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay, so think about that across the way with the body. So as I said, if the patterns become ingrained, if these areas start to get neglected, then your joints and cartilage around that area, because we think about movement, the nervous system brings circulation, the joints themselves will start to degenerate, and the cartilage will start to degenerate because they're not getting nourished with nutrients and they're not getting used. And then that's a chain reaction. What will happen after that is the body will feel that it's insecure in a position. It'll feel that it needs to protect different joints and different areas of the body because they haven't been used in a while. It doesn't know where its strength is at with those. It's not able to coordinate it as well, and it feels that your range is going to be, if you go past a certain range, that you're going to get injured. So it doesn't know where to go. So to stop you going into that position, you'll get stiffness and you'll get pain. Because remember, when we're trying to improve anything, we're not trying to improve, well, we are in, let's say, strength training, that you're trying, or hypertrophy training, you're trying to improve the muscle itself. But really, you're trying to change the nervous system, because if the nervous system doesn't like something, if it doesn't want something, you won't be able to use it. And as I mentioned previously about pain is a threat to the body. So if there is a perceived security around the area, you won't, if your body perceives that they have a lot of security around a certain position or a certain area or a certain joint, you won't get any pain and you'll be able to use it fully. But if you think about somebody who has, let's say, injured a shoulder and then they try going to an overhead position, the body locks up earlier. And it does that because it's protecting it, because previously it was injured in that position. It doesn't want to bring you to the same range in what you've injured it before. So to stop that, it gives you pain. And a lot of the time, if you get pain, people are going to stop straight away because they perceive that that's a bad thing all the time. Now, it is obviously in certain situations, but it's not always a bad thing. Now, over time, think about that. The joints aren't getting used. They're not being brought through their full range of motion. So because of that, your pain will increase and then your range of motion will decrease. So if you don't practice that, if you don't actually take time to work on that, that will keep reducing. The range of motion is something that can be improved at any stage of your life, as long as you set the time aside to actually do it. Now, moving on from the effect of it what changes when you get older, and with that, set routines, set habits, set patterns and ingrained patterns that you're going through all the time, and how going from work and walking into the gym maybe and back to work again, how that will reduce your range of motion. What you can do, or what mobility is good for then, is when you want to help, or if you want to start regenerating, or if you want to start nourishing the joints again, or if you want to start bringing more circulation to the area to improve the strength around the joint and to improve its mobility, its range of motion, if you want to improve the coordination, you have to start working on that specifically. Now, when you start working on that again for the first time, you're going to get a lot of pain there. And it's because of the fact that your body, as I said earlier, feels that it's an insecure area. It feels that that area could be damaged if you move it in a certain way. So to stop you doing that, it's going to give you pain. Okay, so it's pretty simple how one comes and then the other happens. Like, so that's how you stop moving and then you start getting pain around an area. But you can reverse that if you want to. And a really good example, I think, is if you look at, let's say, I'm from the country in Ireland, so we have a lot of farmers around us. And if you look at a farmer as opposed to like a person who maybe have worked an office job, entire life, and how their mobility as they age and how their body adapts as they age. And I know a lot of farmers around here that are 87, 90 years old and are bachelors, still living by themselves, still working every single day, as if there wasn't anything really wrong with them. And the reason is because they're falling through the same patterns, but they're walking up hills, they're walking up and down hills. They if you want to look at it in that objective way of the Fitbit, they're definitely getting their 10,000 steps a day. They're lifting, they're pulling, they're dragging, they're doing all these different movements, and their body's adapting to that. So they're not aging like a sedentary person would age. So if you work an office job and then you retire and then you just go back to walking on the roads during the day, you'll find that your body, when you try walk up hills, or if you start pulling and dragging that stuff, that's going to be a lot harder because you haven't done it in a while. So you can see how a farmer or that population can age better because of the fact that they're still using their body to its full potential, or close to its full potential. Now, if you do fall under either of those categories, you can still look at mobility training and how it can help you as you age. And basically, it lets you work on the joints and lets you work on the body and the cartilage in a controlled environment. So you're able to bring it into these ranges that the body may feel unsafe, but you can do it in a controlled environment, so you can make the body feel safe in using the movements. So you can get all the benefits of what movement brings just by sitting at home. Now I shouldn't say you can get all the benefits, because if you want to be able to, for an example, look at a while ago, like if you want to be able to climb Everest, or if you want to be able to climb Kilimanjaro, that's going to take a certain amount of training. Okay, but you still will be able to do it if you take the time to sit down, or if you take the time to actually train and do it. But what I mean is you'll get all the benefits of movement from sitting or on your floor practicing different, let's say, scorpions, iron crosses, practicing different things like that, bear crawls, movements like that, where it takes a lot of strength, it takes a lot of control, it takes a lot of coordination. So you're challenging the brain and body at home, and you're working on your breathing, you're helping relax down the body, because breathing ties into pain. If you're breathing fast and you're breathing like that, basically you're sending signals to the nervous system that there's something wrong, because that's a fight or flight response. And if you're doing that, then the body will give you pain, because it feels that there's an issue. It feels that you are under threat, as I said, or it feels that there's a dangerous situation at rise or around. Okay, so if you're doing that, that's going to affect your pain system. You're going to have more pain if you're going in through movements. That's why whenever I'm working with anyone, I always tell them to focus on their breathing, or focus on your inhale, or focus on the exhale when you are going through a movement. And the reason is because you're sending signals to the body that it's a controlled movement, everything's okay, and you can still move into this range without having any issues. It's just going to take a small bit of time to work into it. And as you do that, as you take the time, take 20 minutes a day to actually work through these movements, then you can nourish the joints, and you can bring that blood flow, and you can help regenerate cartilage that was there, and you can really figure out if there is an actual injury there or not. So you can change your pain sensitivity. Instead of you just trying to lift your arm overhead and you getting a load of pain, like diffuse pain that's all around the shoulder, you don't really know what's causing it or where it's coming from. Now you only get pain in a very particular position. Maybe it could be an overhead, and just when your arm is straight overhead, but you're actually reaching behind down towards your back, that's when you're getting pain. And then you can single it out and work on that area. But otherwise, if you don't do that, anytime you lift your arm over your head, you're just getting pain all across your shoulder and upper back. And as I said, by doing that over and over again, you can take down that pain sensitivity, take down that protectiveness of the body over a joint or over an area, and you can help build that security in the area, or perceived security, and help build the strength around it again. When you start doing that at home, you can see how it would transfer to everything else that you're doing. So you'll do that at home, and then the next time you want to go for a hike, or if you're playing with your children, or if you're playing with children and they're running around and doing all these different things, and they're throwing ball over and back and they're kicking, and you're trying to keep up to that, you'll find that your body, because you've done it in a controlled environment, because you've taken the time to actually move it into position, you've a way better understanding of what you can do, and your body has a better understanding of what it can do. And so you're not scared, you're not fearful that you might injure yourself, and your coordination will be better and your movement will be better overall, because of the fact that you've practiced it at home. And it's the same, it comes back to the same principles of stress and adaptation, and how, let's say, an elite athlete or even just a normal athlete would train to get better at their sport. You're doing the exact same thing there. You're just transferring it from home to life instead. So you may have lost all that skill of running around, bending down, picking things off the ground because you have this back pain or you have this knee pain or you have this hip pain and you stop doing it. But then when you start practicing it again, that pain comes down and you're able to do it again. So it gives you the opportunity to actually try out new activities and try pick up different skills. And once your brain is used to learning and used to changing, it gets better at that. Because the body and brain, as I always say, get better at anything that you do. Okay, so if you lose it, or if you don't use it, you lose it. But the opposite, if you do use it, you get way better at it. Okay, so you get better at learning from just messing around, doing your own thing at home. So it'll help you pick up other skills and it'll help you stay active and to challenge yourself. So the easiest thing I would say to anyone that's listening to this, if you have family or friends or anyone that you think would benefit from it, first I'd love if you could send on this podcast to them and they'd have a better idea of what I'm trying to talk about. But you could show them a couple of mobility moves, a couple of mobility routines that they can practice themselves and get used to doing it. Because if you have a lot of pain, it's hard to push into pain at the start. It's hard to understand that you're not actually causing yourself harm with some of these movements. Obviously, just as a disclaimer, if anyone have any if they're scared, if they have any pain or are fearful that they might have a condition, obviously get it checked by a medical professional. But I'm talking about if it's like a shoulder ache or a back ache or something that it's been long standing and it's been affecting your ability to exercise or do any activity, then bring them through like a simple mobility routine and help them get used to using their body again, because it'll take time. They'll be fearful at the start, but they will improve over time. And you have to, one of the easiest way to get buy-in is have accountability and become an accountability partner. And I touched on that in my last podcast on behavior change. So do it with them at the start. If you give them a sheet and say, do all these exercises, it's very unlikely that they will do them. So take the time, sit down, go through the exercise with them and do them on the ground with them and go through your different movements. And basically what you're doing is you're helping them build their confidence, but you're also improving their coordination. As I said earlier on, so they're less likely to, let's say, fall over or less likely to injure themselves because everything else is improving. They have a better awareness of their body. So practice them at home, explore different movements, try new things, definitely get out, try new activities, see what you can learn. Learning new skills and learning new physical skills is excellent for the brain and for the body, and it improves your confidence and it'll improve your ability to learn new skills after that again. And as I said, change it up. So if you find that you're falling into the same routine, doing the same thing over and over again, that you're going to work, gym, and then you're coming back, you're watching Netflix, and you're going to work the next day, I would challenge you to go out and try something new. So go out and try something that I push and say to everyone, and I must get back on it myself because I have fallen out of the habit of it, would be things like mountain climbing. Mountain climbing is a good one, but rock climbing is actually what I was going to get to. Jiu-jitsu is an excellent one to challenge the body. Getting out, surfing, trying to even just going for a run, going for a marathon, going for a swim, changing up your activities and trying new things all the time are going to be the best thing that you can do for your body and for your brain, and especially as you get older, because you don't want to be the person that's 50 years old, 60 years old saying, geez, I wish I did that when I was younger, or I should have tried that when I was younger. You'd like to be the person who's 50 or 60 years old and say, I'm going to give that a go. I'm going to try it out. I know I've tried this before, I've done this before, but I'm going to try that new exercise out or new activity out. So that's all I wanted to talk about today about why mobility becomes more important as you age. Quick recap, I was saying that when you're younger, you're going through, and you're playing different sports, going through different activities that you are going to change, and it's a chaotic environment and your body has to adapt to all these situations, and it's really good for coordination and skill and building strength and keeping your range of motion and helping nourish the joints. But as you get older, you start to age, and obviously, but your activities and routines become more predictable. So you do the same thing over and over again. And then the brain and body isn't feeling challenged. That means that you'll start to ingrain patterns and you'll neglect areas that you wouldn't have used. And if you neglect areas that you wouldn't have used, your body will kick up in pain or kick up with pain because it feels insecure. And then after that, your joints and your cartilage might start to degenerate because of that, and you'll find that it'll be hard to do new activities when you want to. So just taking the time to maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes a day to sit down, go through a mobility routine to help yourself adapt to in a controlled environment where you can control what you're doing, practice different movements, and then you'll see how that will transfer over to when you actually want to go for a hike, or you want to go climbing, or you want to play with your kids or play with your grandchildren. You'll see how you'll be much more capable of doing that because you've already practiced it and you've gotten better and your coordination is better. So it's something it's something I tell everybody you should start at a younger age. The younger you start, the better idea you'll have of what to do, what movements to do in what situations, and better bodily awareness you'll have as well. You have improved bodily awareness and you'll know what's going on around you. You'll know what you're capable of, and you'll know if you're not good at something, how to improve on it. That's everything for me today, guys. So just before I sign off, I want to just put in another mention of that foundational mobility program. If anyone is interested in it, check it out on my website. It gives you an excellent entry point into mobility. If you don't really know what to do, if you have an idea of the benefits of mobility after listening to this, but you just don't know where to get started, that foundational mobility program is videos for every exercise. It talks you through it. It's downloadable. It's an 8-week program, and then it's scalable as well. So it goes from intermediate to advanced. So once you get used to the first 8 weeks, you can start on the second 8 weeks, and you can upgrade the exercises that you're doing. But as I said, that's everything for me today, guys. Thank you so much again for listening in. If you are listening to this on iTunes, I'd love if you could give it a rating and leave a comment. And even better than that, guys, if you were able to help me out and share it on your story and tag me in it. That goes a long way in getting the podcast out there and gives me a better idea of what you want to listen to as well. So send me any questions on Instagram or on LinkedIn. Instagram is The Mobility Tutor. LinkedIn is Robbie Cassidy. And you can send me an email as well at mobilitytutor@gmail.com. That's everything today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'll chat to you all again soon. Have a good one.